From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning here on Mornings LA with incredible breaking news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021 today. Jalapal sends a clear message that the president has the full support of the progressives and the progressives have the support of the president in the fourth stimulus package going to a vote next week. Oh, wow. This is breaking news, and you're hearing it for the first time on Mornings LA. I have the latest comments out this morning from two progressives about where we're going on that fourth stimulus package. We'll be going over the fourth stimulus check, how much you're going to get, how much those Democrats want you to have, and when they want you to have those stimulus checks. Then we cut to fifth stimulus, and Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, has spoken. I have the breaking news about his comments and how it impacts your fifth stimulus by raising your benefits up a lifetime, and the huge inflationary bump you're going to get this fall. It's wonderful news, in addition to a fifth stimulus check. Then we cut to the thousands of dollars that viewers continue to get daily, and it's your turn to get that money as well. Thousands of dollars coming to your cities and counties and states, and it's your turn to get that money. It's a big morning. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering. I'm here, you're here. Let's get to the breaking news here, direct from Santa Monica, live on air on Mornings LA. Good morning, everybody. How you doing? One more day to the weekend. You're almost there. One more day to the weekend, and you are almost there. How is the weather where you are, where you're tuning in from? Boy, yesterday I had joked about hitting that like button and the heat wave would wave itself away. Well, it worked. The heat wave is broken here in Southern California, so there's a nice cool breeze here in Santa Monica. It's not charming weather, but it's not heat wave weather, so I will take that. How's the weather where you are? Tune in, jump into the live chat right now and tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. Well, Jalapal is back, and Jalapal has issued a big statement about the president for stimulus. I have all the breaking news this morning from not one but two progressives talking about the fourth stimulus and Monday's voting process. It's wonderful news. Then we'll be cutting to fifth stimulus. And breaking news from that as well. Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, has spoken. And his comments, I'll be analyzing them and how they impact your raise of your benefits up under fifth stimulus and the fifth stimulus check this fall. Wonderful news. And then we cut to the big money the viewers continue to get. It's your day to get that money as well. So with that, welcome. This is LALATE, the only 24-hour day, 7 days a week financial news channel in America. Live in the morning, taped in the afternoons. We just ended Overnight's Crypto, which was our most watched show ever on an overnight's broadcast. Thank you for tuning in, as 5 major cryptos were just launched on the Gemini platform. We're next back with Morning's Crypto right after this show. Stay with this video. It'll send you automatically to there. And then we go into noontime LA at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time with more updates about your stimulus. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record in 1 year. Hit that subscribe button right now. Next up, 1 million. Like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Let's get right into that fourth stimulus check right now from the House bill and the Senate proposal starting this very moment. House bill provides a monthly stimulus check for the remainder of the pandemic plus 1 year. How does that compare with the senators? And how does that compare on the monthly payouts? Let's look right now. House bill provides a monthly stimulus check for the remainder of the pandemic plus 1 year on a monthly basis. The Senate plan, on the other hand, is a monthly stimulus check from July to December. Let's compare the monthly payouts. House bill, $1,000 after the first month of 2. Senate, unknown on a monthly basis, but word on the street is the Senate Democrats want to pay you this. Oh, yes, wonderful. $2,000 a month over 6 months, $12,000. Or $1,400 a month over 6 months, $8,400. That is per person. If you're on the live chat just after 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, get ready to vote House or Senate and tell me where you're tuning in from and how the weather is. But now let's go back to something in Jalapal's House bill that may get modified. The pandemic part. Legislators may contend the pandemic is over. If that's the case, it would be reduced to 1 year of stimulus checks, 12 checks, $13,000 over 12 months House bill versus Senate proposal of this over 6 months. All right, vote now. I think you have an opinion. Senate or House, which do you like? Vote right now in the chat, Senate or House, and tell me where you're tuning in from. And how's the weather? Let's go over everything else you need to know in this first of 3 parts of your forced stimulus check update in this extended morning's broadcast that has a lot of breaking news today, so stay with me at the very end. First, who gets a fourth stimulus check? The Democrats want everyone who got a third stimulus check to get a fourth. Single individual, $75,000 or less, Democrats want you to have a fourth stimulus check. Married couple, $150,000 or less, Democrats want you to have a fourth stimulus check, double it. Family of 4, Democrats want you to have a fourth stimulus check, quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, the Democrats want you to have a fourth stimulus check, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, and veterans benefits. The fourth stimulus check is not income, so it's not taxable. The fourth stimulus check would come in a wave. So it's not a check that's waivable. So don't wave at the check because it won't wave back at you. It's not waivable. And you'll think it's a rude check. Hi, check. It didn't wave back at me again. So rude. It's not waivable. I can't wave at you. There you go. You can hit that like button and wave the heat wave away, though. All right, that's the unwaivable check. Next, when would the vote happen? They represent the final vote would be by July 4th, the Democrats. That means they would be giving you a fourth stimulus check in the month of July for the month of July, in the month of August for the month of August. And there you go. That is your first of 3 parts of your fourth stimulus check updated 2021. In the second part, we're going to be going over the shocking great news from Jalopal, speaking out, and the president's reaction as well. Progresses and the president and your stimulus checks, it's getting very good. And calling the vote. The president's setting the vote for next week. I'll be going over all those details in the third part of this update. But first, here's a preview of the second part of this video. Fifth stimulus. Jay Powell has spoken, your head of the Federal Reserve, and Jay Powell has a lot to say. Fifth stimulus we'll be going over in the second half of this video, the raising up of your benefits a lifetime, and why that inflationary benchmark, potentially of 10% at the end of the year, could raise your benefits through the roof lifetime. It's wonderful news. On top of it, a fifth stimulus check. That's coming up in the second half of this video, so stay with me to the very end. But also stay with me to the very end because I got a lot of money to get you. It's starting right now. Get a pen and paper ready, or if you must, a Crayola crown. And I'm wearing Crayola blue today, so it's all working really well. Except the light that's sort of bleaching out the shirt. It makes it look like it's light blue. It's dark blue in person, actually. So get that pen and paper ready, or Crayola blue crown ready, because I got a lot of money to get for you. And it's rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, homeowners assistance, and it's available right now. It's about $5,000 of rent. It's wonderful. You're going to reach out to a series of different places I'm going to show you in a second, and each has their own eligibility. So if one says no, don't worry. Reach out to the next. And they all have their own pot of money. So you got that pen and paper ready? Here we go. Let's get to it right now. You're going to reach out to City Hall, City Housing Authority, County Hall, County Housing Authority, State Hall, State Housing Authority. Keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, or mortgage assistance because of COVID. You don't say words that they don't know, like stimulus, or Mitch's karaoke night. Mitch's karaoke night? Check, you didn't invite me to that either. You're so rude. It's between you and I, that karaoke night. But yeah. They won't know about Mitch's karaoke night, and they won't know about stimulus. So don't use those words. So there you go. That's about $5,000 of rent, 4 to 6 months of rent. It's wonderful. Money for mortgage assistance, homeowners assistance, utilities. If you got to a penny or 100,000 pennies from this channel, jump into the live chat right now and say what you've gotten for this channel, because it inspires me and inspires everyone else. That's what I do on this channel. I get people money. I don't just read news articles verbatim, and we aren't tracking checks, and this is not a stimulus psychic network. What I do is I get people money. Got people $25 million of EIDLs last year to save their business homes and their employees' homes. Then got them $250,000 for rent last year as well. And now getting you this money as well. And boy, congratulations to Tim and Linda who got it. And the next pot of money, I was inspired, and I hope you were, when one viewer yesterday said they got $5,000 from this. One viewer last week said she got $6,000 from it. Lynn Glenn got it for herself, for her son, and her mom, and Gail's what as well? It's SNAP. It's SNAP. Go get some SNAP. The SNAP is money for food. Eligibility is about the same as a stimulus check. SNAP is a lot of money. How do you get it? Reach out to Department of Agriculture. Department of Agriculture, and get on SNAP. How much can you get? A family of four in Hawaii can get upwards of $16,000 a year now. Wow, why so much? Because of two wonderful executive orders, one from Biden, one from Trump, that raise everyone's benefits up 15% between now and December nationally. So go get it. And we're killing it. You're killing it. You're doing great on getting this money. $15,000 for SNAP for family of four in Hawaii. $5,000 for rent. And we are only 11 minutes of this video. Well, let's get some $5,000 on top of that. Where's that coming from? It's coming from your states. The federal government has identified states as overpaying you unemployment assistance due to no fault of your own, but due to state computer errors. Your computers work fine. It's their darn computers. So the federal government has ordered the states to return the money back to you. Where? To the account you have on file with your state. One viewer already got $5,000 from this. When? Reach out to your respective state for routing times and ask them to check the routing times without that same computer, because it may not work. Computer humor. And then we get to the next pot of money, and it's wonderful. It's coming from the federal government. Cod got it, Margaret got it, viewer Michael got it as well, and I want you to get as well. What is it? It's the money coming back that you paid taxes on the unemployment assistance for 2020. Let's go over how much it is, when you're going to get it, in the routing time starting right now. First, how much? Let's say you had $9,000 of unemployment assistance. Your total tax bill on that 2020 tax return to IRS was $5,000, of which $4,000 was your taxes on the unemployment part. You're getting back $4,000. Where? Direct deposit, if that was on your return, or in the mail. When? This month. Tracking? Yes. About 70% of the time. Go to irs.gov, set up a username and password, go in there and do a transcript search. It works about 70% of the time. And it will then reveal your tax return you filed, the taxes you paid, and the refund check you're getting. Oh boy, can we get better news than that? We can. With the second of your third, fourth stimulus check update of 2021, starting right now with breaking news on morning, this Thursday morning, Jalapal speaks out. Jalapal is speaking out. And the comment is consistent with another comment by Brian Schatz, Democrat out of Hawaii, who spoke about the same subject matter. What is the subject matter? The subject matter is whether the president has said for the progressives to back off. Here's something you're learning for the very first time that I'm going to reveal on morning's LALATE. In the fourth stimulus, obviously the progressives want that monthly stimulus check in there. But in the fourth stimulus, the president wants certain things in fourth stimulus, like climate and the CARES economy, which refers to medicine for elderly people and things like that, which are more progressive ideology platforms, less than moderate Democrat ideals. So what are they doing? Well, the progressives are supporting the president for his climate and his CARES economy items. And then for everything else that the progressives specifically want, the president's watching their back as well. Wonderful news. So what's going on? Jalapal said, head of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, that the White House has not in any way told progressives not to do what we're doing, meaning the White House has not told the progressives to back off and stop doing what they're doing. This is wonderful news. Let me read you the next comment, which mirrors that same comment. Brian Schatz, Democrat out of Hawaii, said the White House has repeatedly reassured him that the White House considered the progressive priorities the White House's own priorities in the fourth stimulus, and that the White House has not asked progressives to back off vocalizing progressives' concerns for stimulus. This is huge. So let me explain again. Progressives want that monthly stimulus check for you. White House wants certain progressive policies like climate and CARES economy items. And so what are they doing? They're watching each other's backs. These are this is for the really, really clear first time of the year 2021, in which the president is aligning himself with progressive policies because his policies in the infrastructure that are very progressive are the climate and other items. The progressive ideologies from the caucus are, of course, the stimulus checks. And so now they're holding each other's hands and walking forward together. Wonderful news. The other, of course, big breaking news is that the president has said, we're voting. We're voting next week. And so he doesn't want to hear any more of this ancillary stuff. We now know in the last 24 hours that the president's comments when he said call the vote, we're voting next week on the reconciliation process, came with a lot of angst, I would say cracking the whip sort of methodology. Because he was overseas, he was getting a lot of comments and was getting a little peeved off about them. And he finally just cracked the whip and he said, we're calling the vote on the recon next week. We're not spending any more time on anything else because he wants his progressive priorities in the fourth stimulus package that include climate and things like that gone through. And if progressives want to add other stuff on top of it, like stimulus checks, he is perfectly with that because they are fighting his fight for him. That's something I'm explaining for the very first time, now revealing itself on Mornings LA. Well, let's go over how we got there. And we got there with the Friday before Memorial Day weekend when Chuck Schumer confirmed three things. We were currently under recon and still are. The recon will end by July 4th and it'll end with a passage. Now, how did we get to that point? Jalopal as well. Jalopal had Rich and Schumer letter say, call the vote, Chuck, for the recon. What are we waiting for? Well, that letter was signed by 12 House Democrats. Those 12 House Democrats are among the 100-plus House Democrats who had written the president a letter a week earlier saying, Mr. President, we're going to put monthly stimulus checks into the fourth stimulus package. Wow. Now that's wonderful news. And the president likes that. Second, we got there with something even better news than that. When 7 House Democrats wrote the president a letter about 7 days ago saying, Mr. President, we're going to put monthly stimulus checks into the fourth stimulus package, and we're going to write it for you. Well, who are these people to say that? They wrote the first stimulus check. They did. They wrote the second stimulus check. They did. They wrote the third stimulus check. They did. Yes, they did. And they now are currently marking up the fourth stimulus package bill. And they claim they're going to be putting monthly stimulus checks in there. OMG. Are they writing fifth stimulus checks? They claim they are. That's coming up in the second half of this video. They are on the House subcommittee that's solely exclusively responsible for writing stimulus checks in the U.S. House of Congress, House of Representatives. Wow, that is wonderful news. Can we get better wonderful news than that? We can. When the president this last weekend, well, the president yesterday said, call the vote. We're going to recon. And Biden did it as well last Saturday when he said, deal. I've made a major deal that anchors fourth stimulus right to the finish line by meeting with international leaders and removes provisions no longer needing a fourth stimulus, making it easier to pass it by legislators of the Democratic caucus. Let me explain what he did by slowing it down. On a recent Tuesday ago, I told you the president had done something complicated, but wonderful, really wonderful. But I said it was complicated, I needed to slow it down. So let me slow it down again as well. Fourth stimulus is paid for by raising the U.S. corporate tax rate. What is that? The U.S. corporate tax rate is the rate that corporations pay in the United States for taxes. Pretty easy to follow. So what did the president say about that? He said he was worried that if he raised the U.S. corporate tax rate, U.S. corporations may leave and go overseas to find a lower corporate tax rate in another country. So he had an idea. He reached out to those other countries and said, let's all raise the lowest corporate tax rate higher so that no business would ever move around to find something lower because there wouldn't be anything lower. And they tentatively agreed. They loved the idea. He reached back to his legislative team in the White House and said, you know what? After we've passed fourth stimulus, in, let's say, November, December, right before Christmas, we'll go back to those leaders of those countries and have them sign on the dotted line. And if they do, then we can remove those provisions from fourth stimulus we don't need about corporate tax rate. Well, then Biden did it. He surprised us all. I gave you the tip-off a recent Friday ago. He went overseas for his first international trip overseas, and his very first stop was with those G7 countries' leaders to have them sign on the dotted line now, that legislation. Not in December, but now before fourth stimulus, which anchors fourth stimulus to the finish line because it no longer has the requirement to add those provisions about certain corporate tax provisions in there They're now in the international agreement, making it easier for the Democratic caucus to pass forced stimulus by recon and anchor it right to the finish line. This president is not just driving the truck over the finish line. He is in the tow truck, finishing it and the tow hitch. In the third part of this forced stimulus check updated 2021 in this video, I'll be going over what you should anticipate for next week, everything that's going on later today about forced stimulus, what went on late last night about forced stimulus, and breaking news from Jay Powell, your head of the Federal Reserve, who had big updates about fifth stimulus, that raising up of your benefits, and that fifth stimulus check. I'll explain the details of that as well. But first, we got more wonderful news, and it's the volunteers. If you need help with rent, utilities, or mortgage assistance, don't worry. There's people, viewers just like me, that are helping you. And they're on the community page. Open the description of this video, go down to it till you see an emoji of a house. Click that link, and it'll send you over to the community page. It doesn't have the lighting changing as often as this video does. Can you notice? It was really sunny, and now it's pitch black outside. It got really dark. I don't know if there's a storm coming in or what's going on. Feels like I'm in Florida suddenly. You go to the community page, you'll find the volunteers. Well, first you'll find some cats. They're not the volunteers, there's cats. Lower on the page, you'll find the volunteers. They're separated from Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Reach out to them, and they'll help you get that rent, that utilities, that mortgage, that SNAP, if you can't find it as well. Here's a little bit about them. I'll be back in 60 seconds with you with the third update about your fourth stimulus check of 2021 and fifth stimulus coming up in 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the toast is toast and the butter is butter, and I'm here, you're here, and the excitement continues on a big morning's broadcast. How are you? It's a big morning's LA. This Thursday morning live from Santa Monica as the sun has dropped outside. As you can notice the big difference in just a few minutes. It's gotten dark outside. Yeah. Okay. The smoke from Mitch's lobster bake. I don't know what's causing all the darkness outside. But hope you're a wonderful. Tell me where you're tuning in from and how the weather is. This is LA, your only 24-hour day, 7 days a week financial news channel. Coming up in the second half of this video, we have big updates about the fourth stimulus in the third part of this video, and fifth stimulus that raises up your benefits and has an additional stimulus check. But first, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video, consider liking it. Every like helps. It helps the video rank higher in the algorithms. And consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. And stay with this video. Right after this video, we go right into Morning's Crypto as 4 major coins are added to a big platform, and there's big surprising details. And then I'm back with you at noontime, LA, at 11 a.m. with more updates from the White House about your fourth stimulus. Well, let's go to fifth stimulus, which got so much breaking news in the last 24 hours. That's why this is an extended morning's broadcast. Number one, fifth stimulus check. Yes, there will be a fifth stimulus check. We have learned from those House Democrats. So the fifth stimulus check would likely be in 2022. Fifth stimulus would go to legislative drafting September to October, finish it about October, November for final vote, and then go out in the mail in January. Fourth stimulus, 2021. Fifth stimulus, 2022. Next, we have heard from Jay Powell. Your head of the Federal Reserve appeared before Congress yesterday and surprised everyone. He said that there will be 2 interest rate hikes, not this year, not next year, but the year after. So this was great news, and Wall Street really liked it. He also signaled that the inflation is at issue. It is signaling. But what did we learn more about that inflationary rate? More about that in a second. Also, we've heard wonderful news from the president as he dedicated $1 billion to Social Security Administration to ensure that your stimulus checks, ensure your benefits checks go out on time and no longer delayed. He's going to ramp up staffing and computer systems at the administration. So we'll no longer hear about waves of stimulus checks or problems with a direct express card or anything like that, and ensure that things come on time. Wonderful news. Which brings me now to fifth stimulus. The fifth stimulus has an inflationary benchmark, and that inflationary benchmark would be applied every December for next year instead of a COLA benchmark. Now, what is the inflation rate? We've now learned in the last few days, because of the producer price index and the consumer price index, that the inflation rate is somewhere about 4% right now, much higher than we thought, and heading to a transitory or temporary rate of about 10%. It's going up what you call basically a mountain and trying to get to that peak of about 10%, and then we'll come back down. Well, when we're talking about your fifth stimulus, it's important to understand that that benchmark, you have to hope, lands exactly when that peak happens. Let's now go over broadly what goes on in fifth stimulus and then apply how this works for your actual bottom line. So fifth stimulus would start with raising your benefits up, then removing the asset limit, adding inflation benchmark, removing the income exclusion, and removing the marriage penalty. All right, let's go over what that means. First, under fifth stimulus, they'd raise your benefits up lifetime. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, survivor benefits, or SSA or multiple benefits, then they'll apply a benchmark. That benchmark is going to be inflation, no more COLA. So they apply that benchmark every November, December for next year's benefits. Hence, clearly, as inflation is racing up from 4% potentially to about 10%, you want that 10% to hit, hopefully, exactly when they apply the benchmark in November, December, because this is what's going to happen. Your benefits would raise up about that 10% if that lines up exactly, not just next year, but lifetime. Because once your benefits raise up, they never step down. And if the benefits happen, if the benchmark is applied exactly when we're at that peak of the inflation rate, you are absolutely going to be in a very wonderful position. Great news. Then they're going to remove the asset cap. Dating back to a 1980s law that says you can't have any more than $3,000 in hand just in time to get those stimulus checks in your hand. They're going to remove the income cap, dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. And they're going to remove the marriage penalty. Love is going to win, and you'll be able to marry your longtime love interest, no longer fear loss of benefits or be penalized. Viewers like Rob and Sandy will be able to get married and no longer fear the marriage penalty. And there you go. Fifth stimulus check, fifth stimulus SSI reform, but there's a lot of other things in fifth stimulus like hazard pay, like money for seniors. So how do you learn what's in third, fourth, and fifth stimulus? By becoming a member. If you're watching the live chat right now, there are viewers in the chat that have emojis of a purple hawk next to their name. They're members. And daily as members, I deliver to them a breakdown of the thousands of dollars that they can potentially get under third stimulus law, and potentially get under fourth stimulus and fifth stimulus when they become laws. There's thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars for many viewers under third stimulus, but you don't know what it is unless you're sent it. And daily, I send a breakdown of everything that's in third and fourth stimulus, the thousands of dollars that you can get, and it's sent to you via the community page on YouTube. So consider becoming a member. The link's at the top of the chat in the pinned comment, and have those breakdowns sent to you daily so you know the thousands of dollars that you can get. Most of them are application-based. All right, now let's go back to fourth stimulus for the third major update of this video. Well, there's a lot of other stuff happening with fourth stimulus. In addition to Jalapal's comments, in addition to the president calling for a vote, I'm going to be going over 4 more things. 1, personal message. 2, next week and the voting process. Number 3, fake narrative, which is actually very important right today. And finally, purple power. All right, first personal message. You've been doing a great job. You've been doing a wonderful job of tweeting on social media. Keep it up because it's important for them to hear from you because they don't know whether you really need a stimulus check until they hear from you. It's also been great to see from you that you have really thrown away any attempt by anyone to try to run a stimulus psychic network attempt on you. This is not the stimulus psychic network. You should never engage in the stimulus psychic readings at the water cooler on the front porch. What are those? I believe, I predict, I have a psychic sense that this is going to happen with stimulus. It's important to understand that, as earlier said in this video, they're currently marking up the bill. What does that mean? It means that they have a draft of the bill and they're making marks on the piece of paper. Pen, ink on one side, erase on the other side. And so at any time, they can erase something you want in there. At any time, they can, with the pen, add something back in there that you want. So it's a very fluid situation, and it's no time to be psychic reading it, which is important to then understand where we are going into next week's voting. 9 steps. You've been great at understanding step 9 is July 4th. And step 1 now we know is starting next week. Well, one viewer asked, can they do multiple steps per day? Yes, with the exception of the Votorama, they can do several of these steps, more than 1 step per day. Votorama required by the Constitution to be a certain number of hours. So let's go over those 9 steps. Step 5, 7, and 8 are the most important. Pay attention to them in this delineation. Step 1, the House subcommittee votes on the procedural bill. Step 2, the House floor votes on the procedural bill. Step 3, the Senate votes on the procedural bill. Step 4, the President signs into law the procedural bill. Now it's time to go back and get the tow hitch, the substantive bill. The tow truck has already passed the finish line now. The tow hitch, step 5, very important. The House subcommittee that's been marking up the bill, that it says they're going to have a monthly stimulus check in there. At that point, that House subcommittee calls the vote on whatever they've written. They could put stimulus checks in there or they could leave it out. Step 6, the House votes on the substantive bill. Step 7 and 8, the 2-day vote-a-rama in the Senate. What happens? 3 possibilities. During that 2 days, the senators can amend anything they got from the House bill. 3 possibilities. The House bill has no stimulus checks in there. The senators can amend and add them in there. Possibility number 2, this House bill has stimulus checks in there, and the senators are fine with it. They leave it alone. Or possibility number 3, the House bill has stimulus checks in there, and the senators want to amend it. And step 9, the president signs into law. Fake narratives, number 3. Interesting twist for fake narratives. Ironically, the president got pissed by them yesterday, and that's why he cracked the whip. The president was clearly showing a lot of angst overseas about certain subject matters, including this one, and just had enough and said, no, we're calling the vote next week. He was clearly getting annoyed by the fake narratives. Fake narrative leader of them all, Rob Portman. Rob Portman is a GOP exiting member of the Senate. Now, before I go into why this may have pissed the president off, it's important to understand that any senator leaving their office is not liked by their own party particularly, because there's a balance of power that is so tight in the Senate that every Democrat wants to hold a Democratic seat, every GOP wants to hold a GOP seat. So this is a person leaving and putting his seat up for jeopardy of being lost to a Democrat. Well, Rob Portman, during 2020, when people were losing their homes and being ravaged by the pandemic in July at its worst times, told the American people, bankrupt, losing their homes without a job, get back to work, you're lazy, I'm cutting off your FPC and I'm not giving you a stimulus check. Not particularly a good person to think about when we're talking about stimulus packages. And suddenly Ron Portman, while the president was overseas, wanted to be the poster child of faux negotiations. He's not. That's probably why the president started to crack the whip, saying this is starting to become a circus act. Stop it. Number 2, this is new for this morning, is certain types of print media that you really can't tell if they're conservative slanting or liberal slanting unless you read them very frequently, are starting to take the stories and slant them and do false narratives. One publication, which I'm not going to name, that on its surface may look like it's bipartisan, but if you read it every single day like I do and realize it is a conservative slanting, quite conservative slanting, is actually taking the president's comments that he's calling the vote next week for the reconciliation. He doesn't want to hear any more of the circus act of bipartisanship beyond the next 24 hours, is ignoring that sentence was ever said by the president and is trying to build up a fake narrative about bipartisanship by quoting GOP members in their articles. So yeah, you're starting to see some publications now try to avoid certain quotes to run a different type of narrative. Here's what you need to know. The persons you need to pay attention to for quotes are Chuck, Jalapa, and Joe. You need to pay attention to what they're saying and what they're not saying, because it's important to understand that everyone else is out there. And why do these people do this, these other people? Even exiting politicians, political donations for the re-election, or political donations to run for higher office, or to get themselves as a political analyst on a broadcast news channel as a job. They can pay a lot of money now, or a book deal. And so fake narratives, I believe, will probably continue all the way to the finish line. Finally, Purple Power. You've been doing a great job. Keep it up. It's important to understand that these legislators need to hear from you why a stimulus check is needed. Why do you need it? Because you are still unemployed, because your debts are still there. Thursday morning, what did we start off with? The new jobless claims number. What did the new jobless number come out at? It went up. The new jobless number got worse this morning. More reason for a stimulus check. And this is not people who were unemployed and then became unemployed again. These are new jobless claims. And where was the big spike from? California? Yes, even California, that has now gotten back to business, had a big spike of new first-time unemployment claims that spiked the number through the roof. So really surprising. So go on social media, hashtag MSC, hashtag Purple Power. Tag progressives, tag Progressive Caucus members, tag their Progressive Caucus Twitter handle and their chairs and their vice chairs, and of course Jalapal, and anyone else in the House Progressive and the Senate Progressives. Tag Democrats, Senate and House. And then Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit. If you don't use social media, then the old-fashioned way. Pick up the phone, call up their DC office, be professional, respectful, express why you think you need a stimulus check, what's your economic issue, and ultimately they hear your voice. And the more you express your voice, the more it gets done. And with that, I look forward to seeing you next on Morning's Crypto, what's coming right up after this video with 4 major coins listed on a major exchange and a big surprise about AMP. But first, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button. Like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes. It also helps get rid of the heat wave. And consider becoming a member. The link's at the top of the chat and pinned comment. It gives you the breakdown of everything in the 3rd, 4th, and stimulus delivered to you daily. Meantime, I'll see you next on Morning's Crypto, and then at 11 a.m. with Noontime. Stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful morning, and stay with LALATE for more.